All right, so I'm going to attempt to tie in and integrate a few complex ideas in this video. This is, again, in the relationship continuum series, or the relationship arc. I don't know what we're going to call the overarching thing. Maybe an overarching thing. But what is authentic communication? Because my experience, and we're going to talk about telling the truth and hearing the truth, which are two very separate skills, by the way, which take two very separate set of capacities and things. Authentic communication, and I realized in my frustration in some relationships in the past that I realize people don't actually understand what authentic communication is. For them, often, it's either been they're at the receiving end of somebody just being an asshole. Well, I need to speak my truth, or this is just me being authentic. When really it's not. Because with authenticity comes vulnerability, which terrifies people. And so what is authenticity? What is authentic communication? So you've probably been speaking to somebody or had somebody speaking at you, and you realize there's something underneath their communication. There's some hurt or some frustration or some need that they're not expressing or a desire. And that is what's authentic. And so, unfortunately, what we often get with authentic communication is someone just being a jerk or someone just blaming you, and none of that's true. What's authentic is them saying, when this happened, I felt this way. And it's super short, super simple. So I want to tie in authentic communication with this idea about sharing the impact, which is important, while still honoring the blame to responsibility, or the victim to hero or heroine spectrum, and all the spaces in between, because it is a spectrum, while also integrating stages of development along this self-developmental line, which are so critical. And they're so critical because, and by the way, if you're a coach and you poo-poo the idea of stages, then you're a two-dimensional coach. You're probably just beginning. And when I realized that verticality, these stage conceptions, which, by the way, plenty minds far greater than mine of, Gene Gebser with stages of consciousness, and Dr. Claire Graves with the evolution of values and spiral dynamics, and Lawrence Kohlberg and Carol Gilligan with stages of female moral development. All of it is spoken within these stages. If you don't understand stages, you actually can't guide people to a new stage. You'll keep dealing with the same two-dimensional flatland problems. And the reason it's important is because the stages are where we react from and how we interpret the world, the filters we interpret the world through. That's why stages are important. So how do you share the impact without being a victim and still maintaining your power? Because whenever we're angry at somebody, or we feel hurt, or we're being a victim because we're not taking responsibility for our own emotions. That doesn't mean they didn't hurt us, or what they didn't hurt us. But the reality is that it's very tricky to share that impact responsibly while still owning your power, because if you make them the villain in your story, then you are giving them all of your power. That's why responsibility, which is different than blame or fault, that's why responsibility is so important. So, how do you share the impact, which is important? I mean, David Data talks about the feminine need to share with the masculine the impact they had on them. And I believe that's true. I agree with that. But how do you do that in a responsible way? Oh my goodness gracious. So that'll be in the next video. But this video is just what is authentic communication? And if you can, by the way, if you can hear somebody's anger or frustration, and you say, wow, I can hear you're really frustrated. And they didn't say I'm frustrated or angry. They will feel validated. It will take all the steam out of their argument. And they will feel like you actually truly get them. and you've diffused a conflict. And you've done it simply by listening to the emotion underneath that. Now, they're not communicating authentically, but you are. So how do you communicate authentically if you're the one that's hurt? You say, when that happened, I felt hurt. Not you hurt me, but I felt hurt, and etc. But the reason we're going to get to this stage is because at a lower stage of development, it's simply punishing the other person when you share the impact. What's true empirically is the more you go through these stages of development, the higher you rise, the more articulate you get, and the more clear you get, and the more you're able to communicate your needs. And so authentic communication doesn't look like, you hurt me, so we're not going to have sex for a week. It looks more like, I've noticed when that occurs, I have less of a desire to connect, and that's actually challenging for me. Like, I really want to connect with you. And I skipped a stage. I skipped the rational there. I went from pre-rational to trans-rational. We'll talk about all that next time. Authentic communication. Most people don't even know what it is, and most people don't know how to handle it when they're on the receiving end of it. By the way, because people get scared. If you say you're hurt, people immediately feel blamed anyway, and then they want to know for how long you're going to feel hurt, and they go into panic mode. They don't know how to hold space for it. These are all topics we'll cover coming up in more Relationship Continuum. Hello? Boop, boop. Boop, boop, boop.